Hey there, guys. I'm Toby Rudolph, and you're about to listen to the ET Stand podcast. Shaka, brah.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite-level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated. More often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand podcast.
Welcome to the ET Stand podcast. Thank you for making us part of your day wherever in the world you may be listening or wherever in the world you may be watching. We're live on YouTube and Facebook and available on audio on delay and all the good places. Joining me on the show is the ever-present Stephen Franklin. And here to chat injuries already is none other than Master Physio and Principal of Southside Physiotherapy, Francis Crossle. Francis, first time on the show this season. How was the off-season, mate? You've had a haircut.
Yep, I've got the summer cut. Don't have to worry about doing my hair very often. Off-season was very relaxing. Just stayed local, good break between Christmas and New Year, beaches, gym, local restaurants. So had a very good time.
What's your favourite local restaurant down in Cronulla way, Francis? What do you like?
I actually like the Thai Time at Carring Bar. It's very small, super fresh, very friendly. Fresh food, friendly people.
Thai Time in Carring Bar gets a free plug. If you'd like to let us know what your favourite Shire restaurant is, please do let us know in the comments. I'm not sure what my answer to that is at the moment. I'm going to think about that for a little while. I just sprung down on this, and Franko will no doubt give you his answer in a little bit. All right, before we get started, I'm delighted to announce that Solve Accounting has reconfirmed their sponsorship of the ET Stand podcast for another 2 years. So that's as big a signing as Jesse Colquhoun, isn't it, Franko?
Tis for us.
It certainly is. It certainly is. So that certainly helps me pay for this platform and the fancy graphics and all the other stuff that I've got going on here. So a shout out to Phil, Jono, and of course the Bloxham family, as we thank you for your ongoing support as the headline sponsor of our podcast and also the debrief. On tonight's show, we're going to chat through the two major Shark player injuries coming to the season. How long will we expect Ronnie and Cam to be injured? What's the difference between their injuries? Francis is here to chat all of that through. We're going to chat Sharks captains. We're going to touch on the Talakai leaving rumours. Shark JD, SJD in the comments says, Talakai gone, when do we riot? Well, if we're going to riot, I guess it's going to start now, SJD. So we'll talk about that later in the show. Danny Lee's also in the comments, says, hi, fellas. G'day to you too, Danny. A nice AI-made avatar there of you too. Yeah. With the Sharks sponsored by, who does that look like, Franko? Arnco? You never get this. Yeah, you never get this proper sponsor logo if you create something in the AI. Franko, why don't you get the proper sponsor logo? Why? How does that work?
Oh, it's been an ever-evolving scenario, but there's copyright issues and whatnot there, so
you just can't reproduce. You just can't reproduce someone's logo, guys. But yeah, you're looking pretty good there, Danny, in the Arco sponsored thing. And then Williams 2.0 in the comments says, strong lineup. Forget last weekend. This is when the trials start. Yeah, I agree with you there, 2.0. Strong looking Sharks team. We'll also get onto that. I think there's no way the Sharks could possibly lose that match after last weekend's forgettable weekend for the Sharks trial team, with every team playing losing, all of them not any good. We debriefed it on. Yeah, they're not a Sharks team, Francis.
True.
Yeah, look, I'm frequently wrong on this show, Francis. So, it's not surprising for me to be wrong on that count, but I have got you on a technicality there. But go the Jets. So we'll certainly, look, it was good for the Jets players to the fringe Jets guys. And then I guess the Jets did lose to the Parramatta Eels. Stone Street has accepted his $1,000 fine for that indiscretion. No major injury concerns. And the Sharks roll on to trial 2, setting in second last on the preseason ladder. We can be pretty sure that we're not going to be counting the offloads or any of the bonus points in the Witzer Challenge. The less we say about last weekend, the better. So let's get into the injury update. This injury update. The injury update is proudly brought to you by Southside Physiotherapy in Cronulla. If you're carrying a niggle like half the Sharks pack, the team at Southside Physio have been keeping the show moving since 1985. with a true pain to performance approach, not just treating the injury, but fixing the cause and getting you back doing what you love. They build individual recovery plans inside their purpose-built rehab gym, so you don't just get better, you come back stronger. They're located at 82 Barony Bay Road, Cronulla. Open early. I always book early, don't I, Francis? I'm always in at 6:30 when I'm injured, or 7 or whatever it is. And you can book online right now through ssphysio.com.au. I'll put the link in the comments. So if you're broken like Ronnie's knee or held together with tape like Cam McInnes, Southside Physio, expert care, proven results right here in the Shire. Now, I did that blurb so I can test out some building of some social first videos that I'm going to do for the sponsors. So let's see how I go with my production skills, Franko. I reckon that might have gone too long. So let me know how I go as a radio host and if I've got a future as Carl Sanderlands as a read-through. But joining us here is from Southside's Physio. He's their principal head physio and ex-Sharks physio, Francis Crossle. There are two major injuries, guys, that we're going to talk about. We got Cam McInnes and Ronnie Mulitalo. So, Francis, the Ronnie injury is a full ACL rupture requiring surgery. Sharks put out a video with him. He looks to be walking in a straight line. How do the ACL injuries work? What is Ronnie looking at?
Well, just get my model, anatomical model, just as a reminder.
Oh, here we go. Well, whilst we go to the anatomical model, hold on. We're going to switch it to the big view. Francis, hold on. If I can do that, which I can't seem to do. Hold on. We'll switch it back. Technical difficulties. Okay. I'm not that good. All right, let's go.
Front of the knee, so that's called anterior. Back of the knee, posterior, so we can see the posterior cruciate ligament.
Yep.
And then on the outside, the lateral LCL, lateral collateral ligament. On the inside, we've got the medial collateral ligament. Take the kneecap out of the way at the front of the knee and bend the knee, and you can see the anterior cruciate ligament sitting in the middle there. So it's at the front of the knee, so it's called anterior. When the weight is on the foot and the body turns, you can see the ACL getting twisted, and if that overloads the strength, it snaps and makes the knee unstable. So it needs the surgery, the reconstruction. The most common way is to take some hamstring tendon from the back.
Yep.
Cut out the ACL, transplant the ACL, the hamstring tendon in, and that's called the new graft for the ACL. And it's a very successful surgery, but a long rehab. So for Ronnie, he had his hamstring tendon taken out, had it prepared, drilled through the bone, stitched it in, screwed it in at one end, button at the top end, and the new ligament is in there. And it has to have at least 12 weeks before it gets any real stress on it. And the rehab will take at least sort of 9 to 12 months. If they have an accelerated program, can possibly get back at about 9 months playing. Ronnie would be, I think his injury's in October 25. So he'd be about 4 months down the track. So he'll be doing some running. He'll be doing high intensity cardio work. He'll be doing full upper body weights training. And he'll be focusing on quadriceps, thigh muscle, buttock muscle, and hamstring strength. Remember to make the graft in the ACL. That's the hamstring tendon. So his hamstrings will be weak. So he'll have to do a lot of hamstring work to compensate for that. Time frame for him to be accelerated would be 9 months back to footy. For the average punter, it would be sort of 12 months to play football, or sometimes even longer. If it's someone that's got an ACL injury under the age of 21, often it'll be up to sort of 18 months to get back to full contact playing. So,
but the full resources of the Sharks health and medical team, Francis, you think he's a shot of coming back in August, or is that just ambitious and may cause him problems later?
Well, August should put him around 10 months, and I think he'll there's a real good shot of him being back then.
Yeah. All right. So long-term impacts, though, Francis. If he's taken part of his hamstring, he's not going to be running as fast as he was 12 months ago.
No, I think it's very successful. You shouldn't lose any speed or agility. There's hundreds and hundreds of players that had the similar injury previously, and they sometimes take half a season of playing to get back to their full sort of confidence level. but other players take less. It seems to be a little bit of a difference between forwards and backs. Excuse me. Backs take a little bit longer. Forwards tend to be a little bit more straight line running and less agility. So less footwork and at less speed, generally speaking. So they tend to, get back into their full straps a little bit quicker.
And
So,
Francis, Danny and Lee in the comments is asking, is it true that ACL affects more sideways movement than straight movement? Like, could you run straight and be fine? Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. That's a little bit what I was saying. The biggest stress on ACL is when your knee's bent and you rotate. So that's the most common classic non-contact injury. The foot's planted, gets stuck in the ground, you rotate or change direction quickly, and it overloads it. So sideways or rotation is the sort of the force that sort of breaks the ligament, and it's just a very poor design, our knee, for that sort of movement. Our knee's very well designed for that forward and backwards. So Danny's correct.
Yeah, right, got it. Okay, now the Cam McInnes injury, he has ruptured his ACL, and it's called ruptured because he ruptured the graft in the same knee. So he's re-injured himself on the same thing. How does that work, and how is that different?
So ruptured just means torn, and it means it's torn in half rather than has a small tear in it. So it's snapped basically, and that's mostly common with ACL injuries in footy players. They tend to snap them, not tear them a little bit. Obviously, Cameron would have had his hamstring in his first ACL reconstruction in 21, I think it was. And so he has.
It was just before he signed and played for us, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Just before he signed with us, yeah. So he would have had the ACL graft in there, and that's what's been ruptured this time. So usually what happens then, instead of using his own hamstring, he'll have a donor graft. So that means he gets a tendon from a dead body, which is called a cadaver, and it'll either be a patella tendon, hamstring tendon, or sometimes an Achilles tendon. And they will have been irradiated to kill any germs, and so there's no minimises the chance of rejection from Cameron's body. And they do that because they don't want to take another tendon out of the same knee or a tendon out of Cameron's other knee, because it would unnecessarily weaken the leg. And the benefit of a donor graft is that you don't have as much trauma from taking out a part of Cameron's tendon in his same leg or other leg, so it's slightly less traumatic. So his recovery can be a little bit more accelerated than, say, Ronaldo's one is. So even though it's a review, like a revision of the previous, he can still go ahead a little bit quickly because there's less trauma with the reconstruction.
He did mention that he's torn the scar tissue a few times during this recovery process. I imagine that slows things down a bit.
Yeah, that's really a little bit of a speed hump and a hiccup in in players' recovery. It's not uncommon to strain or tear some healing tissue, and it sounds complex, but when you're experienced in assessing these, you can quickly assess the knee and assess the quality of the ACL repair and make sure that it's intact and hasn't been stretched or torn significantly. And if it looks like on physical tests it might have, well, then what would happen then? It'd just go straight for MRI. And unfortunately, it's rare, but it does happen, and he might have to have the whole thing reviewed again. But
so they would know, Francis, if these guys are on track.
Sorry?
So they would know if these guys are on track.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it's a very stringent, hard rehab. But again, they've got all day, every day to work on it, and that's the player's goal, is to get back, follow the protocol, and work really hard at it.
All right. Well, Cam McInnes is eyeing a May return to the Sharks team. Franko, I'll go to you. Cam McInnes' outlook for the Sharks and future. If this is his last season, you think?
Well, it's probable. He is a bit of a heartbeat of the club, on really good terms with the coaching staff. One of those clubmen who really sort of sets the sets the precedent of how to train and how to prepare yourself for game day. So yeah, look, he was asked this question recently about odds of him staying, and he's acknowledged that it's going to be tough for him to stay. He will love to stay, but maybe not. He did name drop PNG, so that's an interesting one. Could maybe be looking for a 1-year deal with the Sharks just to sort of tide him over till PNG get up and running, and you maybe take a bit of a haircut to stay with us for 1 year, and then with the idea and an agreement with the coaching staff that he moves on to PNG the year after. I don't know if you'll be going to the Perth Bears. That's floated a couple of times.
That seems to have cooled, doesn't it?
It does seem to have cooled. So, obviously it'll depend how they go with the rest of their recruitment. It might get, might be a scenario where they wait and see how he comes back from this injury before offering him a contract.
They've got to fill 30 spots. They're not going to need to talk
30.
to him until
Exactly.
later in the time. Question here from Danny Lee. Now let's go on to this one. With Ison's ACL from last year and him being younger, there is every chance we don't see the best of him this year. Is this why you think they might be keeping him in cotton wool? Francis, Ison was named on the weekend to play in the trial at fullback and then was taken out of the team. What's your take on Liam Ison and his ACL?
Can sometimes be progressing excellently and then just have a little session where you lack confidence, or you might have a smaller muscle strain in your hamstring or calf that's not enough to mark it as a full-blown injury. But I think they're just probably being a little bit cautious with him. As I said, the younger they are with ACL reconstructions, a little bit more conservative in returning to play. I think we'll see him back on deck, in the first few rounds of the season for sure. Whether it's in first grade or he drops back for a couple of New South Wales Cup games, I don't know.
I thought it was mentioned that it was his other leg, so maybe favouring a leg or something. Yeah. So that could be what's going on there. But yeah, I can't, someone might correct me on that one, but I thought I heard that it was his other leg that was flaring up.
Yeah, not much press around it, was there? Same with Teague Wilton hasn't been named this week either.
I don't know anything about Teague.
Yeah, I think it's just that Billy Burns and Britton Nickera are fighting it out for the other position. So maybe they just decide, let's just not play Teague yet. All right, let's head through some of these comments here, fellas. 2.0 has indicated in the comments that Stone Street fine has been taken care of by the president of the Sam Stone Street fan club. A disgraceful decision by the NRL. Fine him $1,000. Scotty McLaren applauds Francis with the leg of lamb coming out. For those on audio, sadly, you didn't get to see Francis with his leg of lamb knee model when Francis gets the model out. And yeah, 2.0 says, any news on what's wrong with Teague? Not named this week or last? Yeah, don't know. Not sure if anyone knows more on that. Do let us know. Franko here in the comments has put it. That's why Franko was typing. So Franko rarely gets muted by me, but he did get muted for typing the Discord link in there. There it is there. You can join that. So SJD, it wasn't me using the wrong mic. I'll have you know. I think everyone can hear me okay.
I can hear you okay, but I think you are using the wrong mic.
The other thing I'm using this mic?
Nope.
Really? I just checked it before. It says, do you think I'm using the computer mic?
Your gear.
Yeah, right. Well, I guess I'll just, while you're going through the next segment, Franko, I'll give that a look through. Mike says, strong team name this week, gents. Any word on Ueli's shoulder? I don't think I've heard of Ueli's shoulder.
He was named to play this preseason challenge match, so can't be too bad.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, and then Scotty McLaren says, Shark JD, if Siffer leaves, I'll swim back for a career. Right, I've been calling for Siffer to have a lifetime contract since 2020. And then Shark JD responds, better pack your flippers. I think he might be going. I think he might be on the way out. All right. Heading into the 2026 season, there are a few Sharks that are under pressure. So we do this every so often. We put together a top 5 list Franko has done it this time. He is putting together his top 5 list of Sharks who are what we would call under pressure. The top 5 under pressure Sharks in 2026, according to Franko. There's David Bowie, all in his Sharks outfit from somewhere or other, looking great. It's probably sponsored by Arco as well, Franko. So let's take it away. Top 5 Sharks under pressure 2026.
Brilliant. Number 1 or number 5, I guess. Sorry. Look, it might be interesting to see his name come up in a list like this, being under pressure. But Blake Brayley is under pressure. He had a really good year last year, named Dally M Hooker of the Year. This you would consider would be a second coming of second-year syndrome. So people would be expecting him now to continue on the path he's on, step up maybe. We'll talk about captaincy later, but potentially have the C next to his name. Everything going for him. He's called out he'd like to represent Origin. He was part of the Australian squad touring England. So he's got it all in front of him, and there's going to be a lot more eyes on him instead of being able to fly under the radar. So hopefully the pressure doesn't get to him. Hopefully he continues on his upward trajectory and continues to kick ass and take names along the way, because he's a very important cog for the team. Next one is the halves pairing. Now, they sort of had a few years of we'll say excuses where people have sort of said, oh, they haven't played together enough. They're still learning each other's combinations, all of that. They're now the most experienced halves pairing in the league. This is the time for them to step up. They've got a team around them that they're all very accustomed to. There's no real excuses. Barring injury, they should go on and prove what they've got for us. We know Nico himself always gets a bit of pressure put on him for anything and everything. But this is really about the pair of them. The media love to talk about who should be running the show and who should take a backward seat. We sort of saw what happened in the Indigenous All-Stars match. In that scenario, Trindle really did take the bulk of the kicking, Nico only doing 2 kicks and running the ball a lot of the time. Be interesting to see if that continues through into the Sharks colours. But this is really going to be a make or break season for how they combine and the game plays that they have. Otherwise, the coaching staff's going to really need to have a look at how they play and address that. Number 3, Jesse Ramian. So he is off contract. Had a bit of a bludger of a year last season, and he's got a couple of young kids coming through. We've lost Vela to the Bears. Gabriel didn't perform that crash hot in the preseason trial, but we know he's promising, and another year under his belt might certainly give a bit of promise. Ramian does have ties with the Gold Coast, so potentially follow Hannay up there. But really, there will be question marks on his tenure at the Sharks if he performs the same as he did last year.
Yeah.
The big one, everyone probably expected this to be number 1. Will Kennedy only signed a 1-year contract here. He's very safe. Look, he's got a lot of fans. He really does a good job, plays his heart out. And I think every year on year he gets better and better. But truth of the matter is he gets the fingers pointed at him a few times when we sort of talk about a position that's lacking or could be better. We know we've got Ison there in the wings. This will be a telltale sign if he stays injury-free as to how Will Kennedy's going to go in the future. I think he's a great player. I think he showed last year flashes of brilliance, just not consistent enough to have that X factor that people love to throw around. Unfortunately for Will, I think he's one of those guys that, in a stronger team would probably be fine, but in the team that we've got, we sort of need a little bit more from our fullback. We need everyone to sort of be that little bit extra. So this will be a telling year for Will, and hopefully he does step up, but if not, it's probably out the door for him.
And number 1, Franko.
Number 1. Okay, big year for the Leagues Club project group. So we've got the Leagues Club. It's been talked about. It's going to be up and ready this season. I'm not so sure it will be, but let's cross our fingers and hope it is. There's going to be a lot of people watching this space, a lot of people wanting to see how it goes. and a lot of people eager to get their foot in the door and talk about it once it is open. So not only is there the pressure of getting it open in time, there's also the pressure of making it work, making it good, making it, we've waited a lot of time for this. There's a lot of hopes and dreams resting on this, excuses as to why we're maybe not turning a bit as much of a profit as we should, returning to the community, various features and functionality. It's just one of those things that we are waiting for with bated breath. Hope they don't mess up the bet on this one, because we're really keen. And if anything is to slip, hopefully it's a project timeline for a bit of a better club. We've waited this long. We could probably wait till next season, I think, because I personally don't think it's going to be up and running this season. But hopefully they don't rush it just to try and hit in that target. But look, let's see how they go, because there's a lot of people who've been waiting a long time for this one.
I forget what it's like to have a Sharks League club. I just, go on to the meet up pre-match at the Leagues Club or go there afterwards. It's just something that I've just completely forgotten. So I agree that they're probably top. Mazdad in the comments was saying Ramian is under a bit of pressure with no arms. So with the visuals, I somehow cut off Ramian's arms. So that's certainly going to make it pretty hard for Ramian to play. Franco, you got time for one more?
Yeah, I do. Look, it's a bit of a cop-out, because you're here in a second, and that's why it's not on the list. But there's been a lot of talk with a few players who've been interviewed, and they've all sort of mentioned the same narrative about a whole bunch of them being off contract, and this is almost like the last dance. So really, under pressure is the squad as a whole. I guess a caveat there of Mooney, and the coaching staff of recruitment. But this is really, it seems like there's a bit of pressure on there. There's a lot of hopes and dreams for this season being potentially the last chance for this core group together to push through and make something of it. So I don't think this is really one that we're going to be putting pressure on them. There definitely sounds like they're putting that pressure on themselves. But if we don't have a successful season this year, there might be a big raft of changes coming.
All right, a couple of comments coming through here. Shark JD says that, Jesse Ramian is now redefining the turnstile style defense of the Sharks without any arms. That's certainly true. And then Shark JD also comments, Williams 2.0, we're under pressure holding our breath every time he's under the bomb. I assume that he's referring to Will Kennedy or maybe Sam Stone Street. And then Mike in the comments says, surely Cam is under a lot of pressure too with Jesse re-signing. And you're right, Mike. Cam is under pressure. And if I was doing the list, I would have had Cam McInnes in the list. So my addition to Franco's list, I think Cam McInnes is under enormous pressure. One, because he's injured, so that just makes it harder for him to come up. So the team might explode out of the blocks here, and Jesse Colquhoun's going to establish himself in the 13. You've got Toby Rudolph also playing middle minutes. I'm just not sure how Cam McInnes is going to get back into the team and show his wares for why he should sign for another team next season as their club captain. So I would put Cam McInnes on the list. But overall, Franco, quite good list. I think you're a bit harsh on Nico and Trindle. I'm not sure I'd have them on the list at all. Blake Brayley, I didn't initially thought, and then when you had him in there, I don't know, that's a good take. So overall, pretty good list. Francis, what's your take on Franco's list? Anyone you'd add or anyone you'd move up or down?
Excellent list. I agree with you, Boldo. I think Cam and Ronaldo have got some significant time before they come back, and their positions may be cemented with other players that step up and take their opportunity, which often happens. So when they're due to come back, it'll be interesting to see if they can slot in. Hopefully, we're going great, and it'll be really difficult for them to slot in. So I think they've got pressure that way. It's a good comment. I'm missing the Leagues Club tremendously, but we have, like you said, Frank, a long time. Missed it. So I'd rather have a good job done than a rush job. So happy to wait a bit longer if we have to. From my point of view, I think Ueli is a bit of a question mark. He hasn't had the greatest last couple of seasons, plagued with knee injuries. I just know from my experience in the past, big prop forwards with recurrent knee injuries sometimes struggle to get back to their best. You often hear of modifying their training to low impact and cycling and etc. So I hope it's not the case. I want him to step up and have a wonderful season, but I think there's a fair bit of pressure on him to perform this year in the forward pack. So that's the only one I would have added.
Scotty McLaren backs you up in the comments, thinking that ULE would have been on the list as well. So you're not alone in that one, Francis.
Yeah.
All right, that's the Sharks under pressure for 2026. If you're listening to this on delay and you think we missed anyone, do certainly let us know. Yeah, you could have put Franko and me under pressure, just trying to deliver a good podcast for you guys. And if the Sharks don't do as well, it's certainly harder to produce a good podcast. So maybe we're not under pressure, Franko, because if the Sharks win, it's easy.
Come on down.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to the next segment, fellas. We will get into the captain chat. So the Sharks are yet to formally announce their captain for 2026, which I find interesting. You might think, well, will it be Brayley? But I ponder it to you, will it be Blake Brayley? Sharks coach Craig Fitzgibbon was cagey when asked who would be the captain. And we've seen Nico captain the Indigenous team in the All-Stars. Are we moving towards a co-captaincy? That is the question. Sharks captain through the years, our notable ones, Monty Porter, Tommy Bishop, Greg Pearce, Steve Rogers, David Hatch, Gavin Miller, E.T., Peachy. I put Kamali in there because he is a notable captain. Gallen, Graham, Finucane, and McInnes. It's not a bad lineup of players to have captained the Sharks. Let us know in the comments who's your favourite captain of the Sharks over the 60 or so years. Franko, who would you make the captain?
Brayley. I think he wore that responsibility really well at the end of last season. Really sort of stepped up and wanted to make sure he didn't let his team down. I think that that continues this season. He's one of those ones that really presents well and speaks well. I think he's a good front man for the club as well. Obviously, we'll talk about Nico, I'm sure, in this potential role. But for me, Brayley, I think just, local junior, loves the club, signed long-term, press love him, fans love him. It's a no-brainer.
Francis, same question. Who are you making captain?
Yeah, I think it's Brayley for sure, number one, and then followed by Hines, and I wouldn't mind seeing Trindle have a go at being captain, but yeah, Brayley would be our number one pick, and can't really sort of pick anyone else out other than those sort of three in my mind.
Teague has been listed as captain in the past for sporadic one-off games, but I can't imagine him getting the long-term gig. And I think, one of the benefits of Brayley is that he's on the field for 80 minutes. So it also makes sense that way.
Yeah.
Co-captains, Franko. It's starting to see a couple of comments in there saying it'll be co-captains. I don't love co-captains. I just think it's a cop-out. Does it work? Sharks have done it in the past. Look, you also do co-captains when you're transitioning. So they did co-captains with Gallen and Graham, and then they did co-captains with Finucane and Cam. What's your take on co-captains?
It does work, but I guess, ignoring the Tigers and other teams, Cowboys that throw in 4 co-captains. If you've only
team's a captain,
the whole team's a captain. If you've only got 2 in terms of co-captaincy, it can make sense because you need someone on the field to be the captain, and if it's someone who is not a full 80-minute player, then you've got someone there to back them up.
That's true.
Off the field. So it just sort of removes that ambiguity of who's captain when someone's having a breather. In our scenario, though, as I mentioned, Brayley is an 80-minute player, and barring injury, certainly is. I don't imagine
this season, though. Is this a flag that maybe he's not going to be?
Maybe. I mean, you did mention Fitzgibbon was cagey. They also sent McInnes off to the season opener. So he was in the photo shoot for that and not Brayley, which was interesting. So
that McInnes is injured and they decided they wanted Brayley at training and they may as well send McInnes. You noticed that Ronaldo Mulitalo is doing a lot of the social media videos for the Sharks at the moment because he walked very well in a straight line towards that camera, but he wasn't exactly stepping right or left to give the lovely lady Karen the membership for hours. So Yeah, I don't know what you're reading to that. But go back to co-captains, Franco.
Yeah. So, like I said, I think it can make sense and it can work. You said you don't like it. I definitely don't like it. I sort of think it works well from a marketing point of view, a promotional point of view, to have that one face, that focal point for captaincy. And I think that should continue with the club. And I think Brayley is that man.
Yeah.
Francis, the role of the captain in the modern day rugby league, how's it changed, do you think?
I think it's a lot more asked of them in social media, obviously. So someone that can communicate and to the media and coaching staff and the players, fans is really important. I think just co-captains, getting back to that, what happened to the old-fashioned captain and vice-captain? So if the captain's injured or off, the vice-captain just takes the role. So just my two bobs on that rather than saying
That's a good
co-captain.
take. Why not just have a vice-captain? That's so right.
Just,
like all the other
you got
teams
your number
got
one
vice-
captain, and if he's out for whatever reason, you got your vice.
And the vice-captain, that's what happens in the Australian cricket team.
I think that got to be passionate to be a captain. You got to be a team player. You got to love the club. Be a real good clubman. You got to be able to read the game a little bit and do your job on the field. And you've got to be exemplary in as many aspects as possible, playing a role model. And I think you've got to be respected by the player group. Otherwise, it's a bit of a waste of time. So I think they're my main things that make my immediate thoughts on captaincy.
All right. Well, we'll watch this space with interest. I'm not convinced it's just going to be Blake Brayley. I think
who's your pick then?
I would have picked Nico originally, to be honest. I think you pick your best player as the captain of your team, and I think Nico's the best player. So I'm a Nico guy. So that's who I would have picked. But I can understand Blake Brayley, and now we've gone with Brayley. I just think Fitzgibbon's created some conjecture for himself. Like we're talking about it. It's got to be something if we're talking about it. So yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't run with Cam. I think Cam's done. But maybe he's club captain. You could also do the old, what did they have in the 1980s and 90s? They had the club captain and then they had the first grade captain. So the club captain was.
That's right.
Yeah. So who was I remember it was Michael Porter, I think, was the club captain, but he wasn't in the first grade team, I think.
Yeah.
In the late 80s, rings a bell. So, all right. Well, look, we'll watch this place and see what happens. Shark JD in the comments says Tigers captain of the Titanic, maybe. Or maybe that captain of the Concordia just jumped ship and just bailed when his ship was jumping off. We've had a couple of comments sucking up to us, guys. Now, guys, the comment competition is not running yet, so you don't need to suck up. That's Scotty McLaren Sales. Boldo's never under pressure. He always delivers a perfect podcast, just getting in early for comment of the year. Yeah, love you, Scotty. And then Mike says co-captains Boldo and Franco. Mike, yeah, we might argue a lot, but sure, we'd be pretty good, wouldn't we, Franco?
Yep, always happy to lend a hand, co-pilot. There we go.
Oh, goodness. Can you imagine Franco and me co-captaining a rugby league team and arguing about taking the two on the field? Goodness me, that it'd just be like, it'd just be just non-stop arguing. But
80 minutes pass. We're still arguing.
Still arguing about whether we're going to take the two. All right. Well, we're going to take the two on the Origin eligibility chat. So the Origin eligibility rules have changed. I've got a lot of text messages on this in my various rugby league group chats. Who's eligible? Who's not now? I thought that meant that Ronaldo Mulitalo would suddenly be eligible, but Franco then corrected me. So Franco is going to hopefully talk us through how this works. The state of Origin eligibility, this graphic on screen, I took from NRL.com, and quite frankly, it was low res and bloody hopeless. So for those not... Yeah, Frank, I'll just talk it through. Give us the rundown, mate.
Easy. So just removing any confusion or complications, the Origin eligibility rules haven't changed. They're all the same with one caveat, and that is if you used to declare your allegiance to a Tier 1 nation, that being New Zealand or England, and not Australia, you were then scrubbed out of being eligible for state of origin. Now, in this scenario, if you declare allegiance for New Zealand or England, you meet the original criteria rules, of which are born in New South Wales or Queensland, resided in New South Wales or Queensland prior to their 13th birthday, and I guess importantly played in junior league teams prior to 13, or your father played in state of origin, you can now represent your state of origin. So what does that mean for the Sharks? That means Adam Fanua-Blake, who has played for New Zealand once long ago before representing Tonga, and Britton Nickera, who does play for New Zealand. Both are now eligible for New South Wales. So
is Britton Nickera in New South Wales or Queensland?
He is New South Wales, sir. So that's, I guess, pretty exciting for them if that's an ambition of theirs. I imagine the coach still needs to give them a tap on the shoulder and say, hey, we'd like you to be a part of the team, part of the journey.
Gets picked. Fanua-Blake gets picked, Franco. There's no way he doesn't get picked.
Cannot imagine AFB not getting picked. And the type of player that he is, thinking that he's the best in the league in his position, he will want to take the field and prove that point. Britton Nickera, look, I imagine he would want to represent as well, but the back row is a little bit tougher to break into with a few stalwarts there and regular representation from those players. So he might have a tougher journey to get in, but you know what? You lose one match and that discussion starts up again about the best hole runner in the league, Nickera, sitting there on the sidelines ready to get a chance. So those guys are certainly eligible for New South Wales. Who's not really, when you might think about it. But we've got Ronaldo Mulitalo, who came and started playing his junior career after his 13th birthday, same as Hamlin Ueli. So those guys that have represented New Zealand are unable to represent either New South Wales or Queensland. So they are there's not many changes in terms of Sharkies, but when you consider the last few years, we've been able to point at that time in the calendar and go, we've got no one representing, so we're going through unscarred, uninjured, no risks, full strength against depleted teams. We might not have that luxury moving forward.
They might have Brayley, certainly with the six-player bench. Mm-hmm. We will have Brayley, and we will have Fanua-Blake, and look, you'd expect us. There's a chance we'd have Nickera. Mm-hmm. If it was 2024, we would definitely have Nickera. We'll see how he goes at the start of the season. Nickera starts in week 1 for mine, Franco. There's no way he doesn't.
Sure does.
Yep. Francis, give us your reaction to the Origin eligibility rules.
Hit the nail on the head. Just puts us at more risk at state of origin time, and great privilege and achievement if those guys can get picked. And as you say, there's a good chance there would be. So if they got their opportunity, they'd grab it with both hands. But for personally and selfishly from a club level, opens up for those risks that you mentioned, Franco.
Yeah, there is one thing I would like to mention, and it's something that I get frustrated at every time this conversation comes up, because it's often forgotten by the press or whoever they're interviewing, is that you can reset your Tier 1 nation after every World Cup. So once a World Cup has occurred, you can then, if you've played for New Zealand or England, then you can turn around and say, yep, well, I'm now back to playing for Australia, which ergo makes you eligible for state of origin again. So it's one of those things that's kind of conveniently forgotten to create scandalous headlines about, oh, this player's picked here and we're ruining the international game. It's not entirely correct, but this just sort of removes that weird wrinkle in the rules and allows them to represent whichever nation they feel like, but given the legitimacy of the rest of the criteria, can represent New South Wales or Queensland.
All right, Mazdad in the comments, hashtag Shorigin. We know how much Mazdad Chris Kelly loves the state of origin. Absolutely can't stand it. I guess it makes it certainly more relevant for the Sharks. I think it certainly helps New South Wales. So, look, it's clearly just Volandes trying to make the game the pinnacle of rugby league, the state of origin. So I can understand the thinking there. So, look, We'll move on. All right. It was reported on the Cronulla Sharks fans Discord page. User JD shared a story on Siosifa Talakai possibly signing with the Bears for next season. A New South Wales rep, Tongan international. He's played over 100 games with the Sharks, 133 total first-grade games, state of origin player. We know how much of a wrecking ball he is, the cheat code, and he really is a fan favourite, certainly on this show. You just have to think it. At a $600,000 offer from the Perth Bears, you'd have to think that he's going. Franko, give us your reaction to the Talakai news.
Yeah, look, it hurts. It's hard. It's sort of from the horse's mouth. It's not a rumoured scenario. He was interviewed and he mentioned that the offer is on the table to go to Perth and that he's seriously considering it. Unfortunately for us at the Sharks, he is at this point in time, a benchy who doesn't get, I guess, as many minutes as maybe he could or should. And so it's difficult to sort of talk about that kind of money for someone on the bench who is almost a utility. I think he's sort of moving into that lock-back row role a bit more permanently moving forward. But, geez, he is as you said, an out-and-out fan favourite. He puts in really hard. He is one of those players that can turn momentum, make an impact, and we've seen whenever he gets to the field, he does something great for us. And I suppose, look, we do have salary cap issues. We know that. We've spoken about how tight it was with the re-signing of Kennedy. We've also had upgraded contracts since then in Colquhoun and Brayley. And so it's not as simple as one for one. But if you look at all the players who are off contract at the moment, and you ask me who would I want to keep out of all of them, Talakai is the name for me. You've got a whole bunch of fringe players. So again, dollar value isn't one for one. But if you're talking regular first graders, you've got Katoa, William Kennedy, Cam McInnes, Stone Street, Brad Hamanueli, Rudolph, Ramian, the Puru brothers. Any one of them I would rather see the back of than Talakai. So it is a bitter pill to swallow, but you've got to balance the team out. Obviously, the coaching staff know what their plans are and what they've got to spend. But my goodness, Talakai, can't see him go. Can't see him playing in other colours.
Talakai. Francis Talakai, big body. Playing 25 minutes for the Sharks. If he goes to the Bears, as Danny Lee calls out, he'll kill it, starting position, bigger money. But if he's playing more minutes, that's going to reduce his career time, isn't it? And so maybe he's better off sticking with the Sharks and playing fewer minutes.
I don't think it's black and white as that. I think if he goes to Perth and gets big money, preparation will be different. He'll be preparing for bigger minutes. So I don't think his age and the so-called wear and tear on his body is a bigger issue as people think.
I'm just looking for anything to convince him, Francis, and you're shooting me down, telling me that he's not.
I mean, he has had his fair share of some injuries, but he's recovered really well from them, and he's had periods of brilliance as we've just been talking about. What you'd expect to see him playing for contracts this year, as a lot of players will be. So we expect them to really sharpen themselves a bit for that. So their preparation should be excellent. But I think transitioning from a bench player to a player that's on 60 minutes or so isn't too big a challenge, to be honest, for him, physically and injury risk-wise. And I think he can do it, yeah. I'd love to see him stay. I think he's a great player. But as you pointed out, there's dollars concerned for the club, and at his stage of his career, if he gets a big offer, he's probably going to go.
Well, we know the Sharks like to often let their players shop themselves around and then come back and look at it. And Mooney, I'd rate Mooney's general managing player recruitment style approach. So he will know, he will have a figure in the top of his mind or in the back of his head what he thinks Talakai should be paid. And at $600,000, I have a feeling that might be more than Mooney's prepared to pay. I'll just say this on the Sharks players. Look, guys, what we want is we want people to come to Cronulla Sharks, have a positive career experience and playing experience. And if Talakai goes on to get a big money contract from the North Sydney Bears, and I'm calling them the North Sydney Bears because that's who they are, then that will be a terrific story of a success story of someone establishing themselves and it really working out for them coming to the Sharks. So I don't begrudge him anything. He's been absolutely brilliant.
No.
But we'd love to see you stay. So we'll see how we go. Get in the comments. Does anyone actually want Siosifa Talakai to leave? I don't think anyone from our lot is going to be doing that. Goodness me, we bandy on about how good Sia. I'll tell you who might want him to go, Franco. Paul.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Paul, Mr. Sifa Talakai is not a centre. He'll be happy for him to go. So we'll see how that goes. All right. The Cronulla Sharks are close to full strength for a clash with the Canberra Raiders. Sharks will last start winners against the Raiders. Pretty good game, that one. Wilton not being named isn't an injury story. It's just a depth story. He's still around one back row for mine. Let's go through the Sharks team as I bring them up on screen. 17 named. William Kennedy at fullback, Qatar and Stone Street, the wingers, Ramian and Iro in the centres, Braden Trindle and Nico Hines return from the All-Stars clash. Front row for Noah Blake and Tommy Hazelton. Blake Briley is named at captain as the hooker, with the back row, Britton Nickera and Billy Burns. Jesse Colhoun locks the strum with Siosifa Talakai, Toby Rudolph, Oregon Kafusi, and Braden Not Hamlin Ueli named in the 17. There in the ticker, we've got the extra names there. Look, it is pretty much a full-strength Sharks team. Francis, is this the team you would have picked? What do you think?
At this stage, yeah, I think after last week, we were full of New South Wales Cup players, and it's great to see a full-strength team out. I'm happy with the team, yeah.
All right, nice one. Franco, any surprises for you? Teague not playing or anything? That's what you expect. We got him. Yeah.
Teague not playing is an interesting one, especially since we haven't heard about any injuries or anything, but I'm sure we'll discover there's a bit of a niggle or something that's kept him out of the squad. That said, and I know you mentioned Nickera and Burns fighting for the spot. Controversially, I said at the end of last season, I'm still sticking with it until I see something otherwise. I would have them in over Teague. And I know Teague's been a great clubman, mentioned he's captained the side in the past sporadically. Certainly does a great job for the club, but I just think in terms of...
He's not off contract though, is he, Franco?
He's not off contract, correct.
Yeah, they're not going to not play him.
So but he could be the one on the bench.
No way, Teague's on the bench.
No, I agree. But from a personal point of view, I would have those two over.
Billy Burns is on the bench, Franco.
Yeah, he will be. Yeah. But regardless, my point of view is that is a better team with those two on the field than Teague. I think Riley Jones, who's named there at number 23. He is probably our new Atkinson. Played hooker, wing, centre, fullback. He's listed on the club website as a hooker. Was playing fullback last week, so he's definitely got that utility tag. And we'll probably see him, especially with the extended bench, as mentioned. He'll be on the bench there fairly regularly, I imagine. So we'll keep an eye on how many minutes he gets. Bit upsetting that Ison's not there, but we knew that was probably on the cards, and so he'll have to probably make his way into the team through Newtown.
I reckon that team's pretty close to the full strength team. I think Teague for Billy Burns. Francis, is that the round one team? How close is it?
Yeah, I think so. Pretty close. You talked about some controversial spots with Wilton. I'd like to see Samuel Stone Street, step up. Hopefully he's bigger and stronger and can take the hit-ups a little bit more effectively. And we've had a 50-50 season with the high ball. So, other than that, I'm pretty confident in all the positions,
It's talk that Stone Street's been training the house down and is ready to take his spot. So we'll see how we go. Let's go look at the Raiders team. I'll bring that. They're missing Tarpanay, Papili, Hudson Young, Corey Horsburgh, Ethan Strange, and they're just the ones that I can remember. And they've also changed their halfback.
Kia
not
Weeks
exactly-
is missing as well.
I'm not
they've
exactly
got-
quaking in my boots, Franco.
Yeah, out and out rookies in the halves. Dane Laurie, makeshift fullback. So it is a shame that we're not up against a stronger team because we will likely streamroll them. I mean, it'd be a shocker if we don't. But it would have been better to have a bit more of a competitive hit out. Unfortunately, that's not to be. So we'll just play what we've got in front of us and see how we go.
Danny Lee's predicting that we will put 50 on them by half time and before we let Newtown play the second half. We'll see.
It's difficult. It's difficult to say that we let Newtown play the second half with the new extended bench rules, right? Because if you look at it now, we don't really have a squad of players in this listed team that can step up and replace our first grade team. So, we've
but that might add numbers, or they'll just have dudes on the sideline playing in weird jerseys. You don't know.
We don't know. Correct. We don't know. There's time to change it.
Now let's answer this question from Danny Lee. Do we prefer Hazelton or Kafusi starting? I think the front row impact off the bench is an impact position, and I think Hazelton does it better. And I think we don't generate that much. I prefer Hazelton to Kafusi, but I would start Kafusi and Hazelton off the bench. Franco?
I agree in the sense that I think Kafusi is better at absorbing that pressure and initial impact than Hazelton. Hazelton also is better at running at tired bodies, I feel. That said, when we have started the season with Hazelton in the firsts or in the starting side, he's gone really well. That was beginning of last season, beginning of the season before some kind of injury or something has swapped them, and then Kafusi's maintained that starting role. It's been good when Hazelton started. So that's probably what they've looked at and what they're going with. And if he stays injury free, then he gets to grow and evolve as that starting prop.
Footy's well and truly back. When you look at that team, that looks like my Sharks team, doesn't it? So
yeah, I think you're right, Franco. I think Hazelton was killing it as a starting prop until he got that sternum injury. And that put him right out, and it gave Kafusi the chance to, again, cement that role. And, I expect Hazelton to be fit and, chomping at the bit to get back to where he was before that injury. So, I agree that initially in his career, he probably was better off coming off the bench the first sort of season and a half. But he just upped his game. Injury got him, and now he's back. So I'm happy they're giving him a chance to start.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So Polytech Stadium's in Gosford, isn't it? So it's Saturday at 3:50 p.m. This one, and it will no doubt be on KO as it normally is. With the Roosters Eels NRL trial to follow at 6 p.m. So, Franco, we'll do the debrief Saturday night sometime. I hope we can make that work. So you can tune in to us post-match. Now, another comment's come through just saying we're bad and mean from Nazdad. So I think that's encouraging me to sing the Raiders song because we're bad and mean, we're the green machine. We treat them mean and we keep them keen. So I love singing the Raiders song and getting the words wrong and taunting the Raiders fans. So,
even Raiders fans get the words wrong.
Oh, they do get the words wrong. You know what I'm really proud of us for this episode, Franco? Is we haven't mentioned somebody. Now, don't do it. When we're playing the Raiders, we always mention a particular person. Always comes up. We are not mentioning him. He gets no airtime on this show. I'm happy that that's not going to happen. So we'll just leave it at that. And if you know, you know. But I think everyone knows. All right.
Speaking
don't mention him.
No, I won't. At least I don't think I am. It is interesting that Chevy Stewart is named in jersey 18 instead of number 1, with Dane Laurie a bit more of a utility being named at fullback there. We'll see what minutes he gets, but it certainly shows to him being on the outer.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's just look at the Mazdad makes that perfect. Now, can I just say on the show, on the ticker on the screen, I was just testing out the entire audience to see if anyone would notice 2 things that I put in the ticker. And no one has read it or even noticed. So I'll just let that scroll by and see as I've called it out and see if anyone notices. Great show, fellas. Francis, great to have you on board and part of the show. Hopefully we can just chat footy with you this season rather than talking up heartbreaking Sharks injuries. We don't want to see any more shoulder models. No shoulder models. So I've missed you too, Kevin. So good to see we're back.
No models.
No more models. No more models. So it's good to have you back. And Franko, as always, there he is, number 24. What do you think of number 24 named on the Sharks team? Franko?
Oh, mate, he's got a lot of work to do to get into the regular starting team. But we'll see how he goes.
Yeah, I think he needs a bit of fitness. He needs a bit of fitness to get going. So we'll see how he goes. Now, we're working on doing a live show from Live at Sharks in a couple of weeks. So hopefully we can get that too. And here's the other bit. If you notice this, then please let us know subtly in the comments. No one noticed. No one noticed. No one said anything. I was hoping I'd get a few up. Oh, I noticed it, Boldo. And then you go, oh, what's that? Nothing. So you've failed me again, ET Stand podcast crew. All right, that was the show. Thank you guys for tuning in to the ET Stand podcast. I'm not explaining his absence. He's working now 2.0, so he's on shift work, so it's harder to get him. So we miss Lats. We miss you, Latsy.
He will be up and around from time to time, certainly helping behind the scenes. But yeah, it's hard to get him on live.
It is. If you want to chat to Lats, you can always get on the Discord. He's pretty prominent on that one. All right, that was the ET Stand podcast. We'll be live after full time on Saturday with another episode. If you'd like to become a member of the show, you can do that. It's like $1 a month or some nominal amount. Just helps me pay for the StreamYard. We are also getting access to a whole library of former Cronulla Sharks matches. So if you're a member, you get access to all of those as we upload them. Otherwise, you're going to wait week by week. And there's some other membership stuff that Franko and I just quite frankly haven't thought of to come up with yet. But we may be thinking of Mark or something. So if you've got any ideas, do certainly let us know. In the meantime, Sharks take on the Raiders 3:50 p.m. up there in Gosford. Hopefully the Sharks bounce back. Up Cronulla. See you on Saturday night.
For over 50 years, people have come to see the Sharks play. Talent, skill, speed, intelligence, elite level athleticism. That's not these guys. Biased, one-eyed, opinionated, more often wrong than right. They make up for their complete lack of talent with pure dribble, gibberish, and enthusiasm. This is the ET Stand Podcast.